happy to have you here with me at story time today. I am going to be talking about groundhogs and shadows. Do you know why I chose to talk about groundhogs and shadows today? Well, if you said that next week is Groundhog's Day, you're right. I also think that shadows are really neat, and we happen to have, not too far away from us, the most famous groundhog in the entire United States, Punxsutawney Phil. So I thought we could talk about those things and give us a chance to make a prediction on what we think Punxsutawney Phil will see next week. That way, we can take a survey, see what everybody thinks and what everybody wants, and then when we get to see the groundhog on Groundhog's Day and whether or not he sees his shadow, we can see whether we were right in predicting it too. So let's go ahead and start with our hello song, and then I'll talk a little bit about shadows, and then we can have some more fun books and a few activities. All right, are you ready? We clap and sing hello. We clap and sing hello. In our homes it's story time. We clap and sing hello. We wave and sing hello. We wave and sing hello. In our homes it's story time. We wave and sing hello. We stomp and sing hello. We stomp and sing hello. In our homes it's story time. We stomp and sing hello. Good job. I just love that song. However, I think we've been singing it for so long now that maybe we can start a new hello song. If you guys have any suggestions or ideas, let me know. Send me a message, reach out to me, come into the library and see me, and let me know what songs you think we should open story time with. All right, for now, let's go ahead and get into shadows. Do you guys know what a shadow is? Well, if you don't, or if you do, this book is a really great book on all the cool things shadows can do and why a shadow is created. It's obviously called Shadows, and it was written by Carolyn B. Otto. When you go out on a sunny day, your shadow goes with you. Do you see her shadow here? When you skip or you swing or you run, your shadow does too. You know how when you move, your shadow goes with you. If the sun shines in front of you, your shadow will be behind you. So if the sun is coming down on them, their shadow will cast behind them. So if the sun is casting behind them, where do you think their shadow will be now? That's right, in front of them. Dogs and cats have shadows too. Cars and rocks have shadows too. All things make shadows. A few clouds in the sky make shadows on the grounds. But if the sky is dark and gray, it may be too cloudy to find any shadows. Why do you guys think that it would be hard to make a shadow with no light? That's right. There must be light to make shadows. The sun makes very bright light. As you can see, this is the shadow. You can also use man-made things like flashlights or even house lights to create your own shadows as well. The sun's light comes from its heat. Other hot things can make light too. A fire makes light, candles make light when they burn, and stars make light. Do you know of anything else that makes light? Very good. Electricity makes light in light bulbs. Even a tiny flashlight bulb can make a bright light. Can you guys say electricity with me? Electricity. Very good. That is what runs your TV, the lights, your hot water tank, most likely, and all of your devices. Anything that runs off of a battery can use electricity to be charging that battery, all kinds of things. Now, if you take a flashlight into a dark room, it can help you learn more about shadows. Shine the flashlight towards the wall and hold your hand in front of the light. If you were here last year, we got to do this in this room right here. And then we traced our shadows too. The light shines on your hand, but it cannot shine through your hand. So it makes the shadow. You may make shadows on the wall when your hands block the light. What do you think made this shadow? Let's read on and find out. Hold a book or a ball or a toy in front of the light and see what kind of shadow it makes. If you said a bicycle wheel, you are correct. Every shadow you see is made by something that is blocking the light. Shadows can be many shapes, and shadows can change shapes too. They can change from short to long or long to short. Shadows can also change from thin to fat or thin, fat, and then thin again. Sometimes shadows change because of the time of day. At noon, shadows are much shorter. In the morning or in the afternoon, shadows are much longer. Do you see the difference between their shadows? So they can be big shadows and they can be small shadows. And sometimes they're in front of us, beside us, behind us. Very interesting. Some shadows change because the light or the object moves. Shine your flashlight on your hand and keep the flashlight in the same spot and see what happens when you move your hand forward and backwards, closer to the light and further away from the light. Your shadow will look very small when you move your hand closer to the light. But when you move your hand, excuse me, when you move your hand closer to the wall, your shadow will look very small. Sorry. And if you move your hand closer to the light, your shadow will get bigger. Your shadow grows from small to big because you are blocking the light at different rates. You can also make pictures with shadows. Here are two you may want to try. We have the butterfly and a dog. You can also look up online so many different ways to make shadow puppets and shadow animals. And we also have some books here that you can check out if you're really interested in making more shadows with your hands and creating different things. At night, there might be enough light for shadows too. Light from the windows of a store can make the shadows. Light from a street light or the moon can make shadows on your wall. Before you go to sleep tonight, try to find all of the shadows in your room. If you fall asleep before you are done, that is okay. There will be more shadows to find tomorrow. The end. There are shadows to find everywhere. So, if you guys want to send some of those pictures of you guys making some shadow puppets with your hands, or give me some ideas of things that create shadows, I would love to hear from you. For now, let's go ahead and we will sing a song. So this song goes to I'm a Little Teapot. I'll go ahead and sing it once, and then you guys can jump in with me and we'll sing it together, okay? So it says, here's a little groundhog, furry and brown. He's popping up to look around. If he sees a shadow, down he'll go. Then 6 more weeks of winter. Oh no! Are you guys ready? Okay. Here's a little groundhog, fat and brown. He's popping up to look around. If he sees a shadow, down he'll go. Then 6 more weeks of winter. Oh no! Good job. So, as you could tell by that song, on February 2nd, if Punxsutawney Phil comes up and sees his shadow, That predicts 6 more weeks of winter. And if he doesn't see his shadow, then they say spring is right around the corner. I really wonder what's going to happen. I would love to hear what you guys think is going to happen and what you would like to happen. For now, I have Who Will See Their Shadow This Year? It's a fun little book on not just groundhogs seeing their shadows, but these animals seeing their shadows too. This is a book written by Jerry Paletta and David Biedezerke. It is a Scholastics book, and it is February 2nd. The animals are tired of winter. Are you guys tired of winter? If a groundhog casts its shadow, it means 6 more weeks of winter. But why should the groundhog always be famous? What about us? Let me try my shadow, says the chicken. Do you see all of their shadows? Oops, it made a rainstorm. So next, the polar bear tries its shadow. And what do you think happened? Its huge shadow caused a blizzard. Oh my! Well, they don't want a rainstorm, so no chickens. They don't want a blizzard, so no polar bears. Next up is the camel. And when the camel tries, its shadow starts a sandstorm. I don't think they want a sandstorm either. Now the dog shows its shadow. And what do you think happens when the dog shows its shadow? Oh, bow wow! It gets very foggy. Now it's the pig's turn. Will the pig's shadow work? Nope. It became a hurricane. Now it is the buffalo's time to show its shadow. And when he shows its shadow, it begins to sleet. Freezing, icing rain. No, thank you. The animals are getting very frustrated. How can we bring spring? They thought. What about a panda bear's shadow? Nope. Ping pong, ping pong. It starts to hail. How about we try a koala's shadow? Gale forced winds, but still no spring. Well, now that would be fun if we wanted to fly a kite, but we don't fly kites in the winter. We need spring. Maybe the butterfly's shadow will work. Do you think the butterfly's shadow will work? Oh no, it becomes hot and sweaty and muggy. We aren't ready for summer. We want spring. So now it's time for the ring-tailed lemur to swing in and show its shadow. And it gets misty, like a beautiful rainforest. But we don't want to live in a rainforest, do we? Well, a peacock shadow might bring spring, right? Oh, wow, it didn't bring spring. It brought a tornado. And the noise awakens the groundhog. Look, the groundhog has no shadow. It means it's spring. Spring is here and winter is over. Happy Groundhog's Day! Oh my goodness. All of those animals didn't really have those weather thing happens. Not even the groundhog actually can tell us the weather. It's really just a tradition passed down from way back I'm going to talk about in my next book. But thankfully, if they see their shadows on February 2nd, those weather things aren't going to happen. But it was a fun way to see all the different animals and talk about different types of weather, especially spring, because I don't know about you, but I am ready for some warm weather and some beautiful flowers, green grass, and that way I can go on nature walks and go to the park and hopefully walk my dog and we're not both freezing cold, but we'll see. So, two of the activities that I have in my book are a groundhog for you to sing that song with me. And then we also have an activity that I'll have a sheet with and a prediction sheet. So you'll see here, you'll see the groundhog wakes up and what happens if he sees his shadow, what happens if he doesn't, and what we think is going to happen. And then you guys will cut it into 4 pieces. So you'll cut it in half both ways and you'll put it in chronological order, which means to put it from page 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you will have your own little groundhog prediction book. And if you guys could share that with me so that I can take a survey and see how many people think winter is staying a little longer or if spring is right around the corner, I would really appreciate that. And then I have a few more activities in our grab and go bag this week too. I'll go over all of that after my last book. This book is called Groundhog's Day, and it's just going to give us a little bit more information and a little bit more insight into why we celebrate February 2nd as Groundhog Day. This book was written by Michelle Becker. Will the groundhog see his shadow today, this year? I guess February 2nd isn't quite here yet, so will he see his shadow this year? People all over the country celebrate Groundhog's Day on February 2nd, the second day in February. Well, right now it's January 27th, so that leaves us with just a few more days until February 2nd. Groundhog Day takes place near the end of winter. When will winter end? And when will spring begin? On Groundhog Day, you might find out the answer. Groundhogs are small, furry animals. They are also called woodchucks. Groundhogs live in burrows. Burrows are tunnels they dig in the ground. They rest in the burrows all winter long and come out in the spring. We know resting all winter long is called hibernation. Very good. Do you guys know of any other animals that hibernate? Very good. We are going to talk more about hibernation next week, what animals hibernate, and what they're going to do when they wake up. In the little town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, there is one special groundhog, and his name is Punxsutawney Phil. This is a picture of the United States. And as you can see, Pennsylvania is right here, and Punxsutawney is right down the road from us, about 15-20 minutes away. And the most famous groundhog in the entire United States is right there. And you guys can actually go and see him anytime you'd like. Can Phil tell if there will be 6 more weeks of winter? Well, on Groundhog's Day, people come to Gobbler's Knob and they wait for Phil to come out of his hole. Do you think Phil will see his shadow? If it is sunny, there will be a shadow. People say that if Phil sees his shadow, winter will last for another 6 weeks. And if it is cloudy, there will not be a shadow. And people say if Phil does not see his shadow, then spring is clearly coming. Sometimes the groundhog is right, and sometimes he is wrong too. People still celebrate Groundhog's Day because it's fun. It gives us something to look forward to. People started celebrating this day in Europe in the 1600s. But in Europe, they used hedgehogs to tell what the weather would be instead of what we use, groundhogs. You guys see this cute little hedgehog here? Groundhog's Day was started in 1887 by an editor and a congressman in Pennsylvania. This is a picture. The little town of Punxsutawney became known as the weather capital of the world. As you can see, here is another picture of Pennsylvania, and here is Punxsutawney. Again, it's only about 15 minutes away from Brookville, which is really neat. Phil is on the news the day of celebration. Everyone in the country can see him. Hundreds of people now come to Punxsutawney to celebrate Groundhog's Day. Phil lives in a special home with two other groundhogs. It is in the Punxsutawney Public Library. So you guys can go to the library and check them out anytime you want to see them or meet them. Groundhog's Day is fun. Will Punxsutawney Phil predict when spring will come this year? We won't know until it happens. So, excitingly enough, we have prediction sheets. Next week, Punxsutawney Phil is going to tell us whether or not he thinks winter is still staying or if spring is coming. And then shortly, we should have our answer after that. If you guys want to stop in and get your grab and go bags, or if you've already stopped in and got your grab and go bags, we can go through them. I have, again, a Punxsutawney Phil for you guys, a groundhog to color. You can, if you guys got your bag already, you can sing the song with your groundhog. If not, what you'll do is you'll cut it out, you'll color it. And this is actually a shadow activity. It's really neat to see how, like we were talking about in the first book, shadows move, shadows change, even if your something still doesn't. So you will tape this in a window that gets shadow, and you're going to put paper down to trace the shadow of the groundhog in the morning. And then you can come back in an hour or so, or even lunchtime, and of course, keep the groundhog where it's at and see how much its shadow has moved. So you'll trace it again, and then you can do it a third time, another hour later or into the evening even. So once you get your three shadows, you can check out the difference of where the sun was, if your shadow changed in size or shape, and it's really just a neat way to kind of see how shadows can change. I also have your booklets in there for your predictions on whether or not you think we are going to have winter or spring. And I have a really fun memory game in there. So you guys are going to match the groundhogs with its shadow. And after you're done matching them, you guys can play a memory game as well to flip them all over, put them in like a square, and you pick up two at a time to see if they match. Once you start picking a few up, you'll be able to remember and recall where you saw some of them, and you can start picking them up and make matches that way too. So don't forget, there's also going to be a snack in there, and send me some pictures. Let me know what you're doing. I hope everybody has been having fun with the grab and go bags and the stories I've been reading for you. Hopefully, if spring does come and weather starts warming up, we'll be able to start meeting again outside. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to, and I'm sure you are too. I will definitely let you know what's going on. And until next week, have a good day. Goodbye.